At the end of the line, we'll reflect on the definition of Zenith. The pinnacle, the utmost point in the sky, the highest peak you could possibly achieve, and we've seen it all. Earth-shattering explosions, impaling spikes from the heavens, and even a monster that lies with its attack pattern. And since we're at the final main Zenith, it's time to take a look at the best. A Zenith that needs no introduction, but will get one anyways. A beast that sears its own body with heat, pain, and the power of dragons. A monster that is 1 single second away from tearing its own body apart. At the top of a colossal tree, in a torrential downpour, you'll come face to face. Doragyurosu, a member of the Flying Wyvern class. It's a slender, wiry-looking thing with wicked whip-like appendages protruding from the wings, and those same protrusions forming a 3-pronged fractured tail. The cousin of Doragyurosu, these are monsters that were part of what I'd like to call the Dancer Wyverns. A completely fan-made denomination like Pseudo-Wyvern of course, but it gives a common movement and structure to these elegant, powerful, often gliding monsters that would dance around with their tassels and bells and whistles. I'm sure there's a better word to use. Dora's main thing here was the harnessing of the powerful dragon element over the thunder of its relative, and the use of the additional wing limbs to throw itself around the battlefield, pull itself into the earth, and break open huge chunks of the ground in devastating juggle attacks. It was also blessed with a bunch of different forms, starting with the Supremacy variant that would revive itself from a death animation with a huge explosion of the same element, emerging burned red all over due to its sheer power, and an even rarer Phantom Doragyurosu, encountered completely by chance on any random hunt. Often these variants would up the effects of the juggle attacks, meaning hunters would have to memorize strings of attacks, like lines on Broadway, to have even the slightest chance of avoiding a dragon laser the size of a small ocean, or perhaps a moon. Zenith Doragyurosu naturally is a further expansion on all this craziness. Like all of its predecessors, it channels this draconic howitzer through its horn, if it can even be called that. This satellite antenna that scars out of its face allows it complete mastery of the element, so of course you'll be dealing with the health-denying Zenith Dragonblight on this one. Remember, once again your healing items will be useless if you get struck with it. A single wicked horn to channel dragon energy, lungs that pierce your ears with Zenith Roar. Let's see how you're going to take him down at G rank 200. Your intro to the fight will be exactly the same for all 4 levels. You spawn into the Great Forest Summit and the best Zenith of all time will be stood, minding his own business on the other side. If you don't move, neither will it. It's here where you have to rethink the power dynamic with this monster. You aren't hunting down Zenith Dora. Zenith Dora is allowing you to challenge it. So throw your hat in the ring, take a few steps forward, and prepare. At the start of the fight, the monster will take to the skies immediately, slowly rising up and hanging there in the air. You'll have enough time to prepare by unsheathing or taking an item or two before it comes crashing down in an enormous explosion. This can be guarded or rolled easily, but I would recommend blocking here, as there'll be a string of attacks up front that you'll be able to build gauges on and easily respond for some free damage. Your first is a big roar that doesn't pop until Zenith Dora's head is all the way forward, so if you're familiar with the animation, remember that there's a bit of a delay here. Finally is a deceptively large hit zone on a sideways bite. This routine is how every single first dance goes in Dora's fight, and shows that the bite is always chained after our roar. Pay attention to this one. After that, you're into the real deal. Dora uses a wide variety of far-reaching dragon attacks, beams, slams, and even some pin moves. Your first to be aware of is the triple slam. The right wing comes down, followed by the left, and then Dora jumps up to slam its whole arse in the floor. It'll flap in the air twice before crashing down, so time your roll or block accordingly. Since the slams hit in an AoE, you won't need to worry too much about the direction of your guard if you choose to, but I would really recommend rolling the first 2, as you'll have more than enough time to chain 2 standard rolls between the 2 attacks. Secondly, with a similar hitbox is the flip. This one is a single impact, you just gotta watch out for the tail where Dora looks behind it. Nothing too special to look out for here. Next up is our first juggle attack of the bunch. If Dora floats slowly up whilst beating its wings, after the first big flex he'll slam those wings together, which will fling you into the air. Regardless of if the hit is confirmed or not, this will be followed up by a massive laser that homes in on your position. You can't outrun it, you just have to dodge it as it slams down towards you, and then again as it is swept 90 degrees in your direction. A hit from the first smack of this move and you're set up for a lethal combo. And as a final introduction, there's this dash attack with a wave of energy. It's worth noting that the dragon energy on this glide is actually positioned behind Dora, so delay your roll accordingly. After this move, there will always be a taunt, so closing the gap can net you a few free hits. Here's where things start getting silly though, as we return to a traditional rage mode for Dora. This is the one where its entire body starts to burn red and black, and it begins this state by circling up out of view before a circular blast of dragon lightning hits the earth. Your tell to roll or block this attack is as Dora leaves the screen, for your information. In this state, it's hard to describe the speed boost this thing gets. It is quite simply biblical. You will not be able to use traditional rolls to escape much of the combos, especially the 3-hit, and various follow-ups will come out much faster than expected. You'll also see a few new moves unlocked in this state throughout the levels. At G rank 200, this unlocks the affectionately dubbed Pit Laser. A flash whilst jumping up with electrical noises in the background. Your positioning here is paramount, as you'll be targeted by a very accurate, very painful move. To avoid it, you'll need to ensure you're either sheathed or sprinting, or using the extreme style run if you have it. If you're complacent, the laser that thunders down onto you will be a guaranteed, no healing, one-shot kill, as you're submerged and dissolved into a molten floor of draconic acid. Yep, your hunter simply ceases to be. It's a rough move, but in a wonderful little change you can turn this one right around. Notice how the floor is melting? You see, Dora is a creature of habit and will always fall straight down after this move. And if you position yourself right, you'll fall right into the floor of acid. This will result in a pitfall trap animation being stunned in much the same way. You should be aiming to be using this opportunity every time it arises, in that the Zenith Horn is right at your eye level for the duration, and it's a great breather in this frantic fight. The only other thing to note here are the fast dragon beams. They home in on you. They can be blocked or dodged and come out very fast. He'll do 1 in regular mode, 3 in rage mode, and it's a very good way of stacking up guard for things like switch axe or the obscurity skill. Now here is where we talk about the most exciting thing to happen with this monster. What happens when you win and you break the horn? You see, that magnificent horn atop its head is everything. I don't think I've ever seen a monster with such a glaring weak point since Gen Moran. You shatter that, and it essentially turns this from a Zenith fight into a high rank one. Dora cannot use any beams at all. Any attempt to harness dragon power through its horn for breath attacks results in a huge explosion that only causes Dora to flinch, and the rampant dragon energy will scatter about as thunderbolts all over the arena. Now, the latter can hit and damage you, but are telegraphed by black spots on the ground, so be sure to avoid those. What this means is that the follow-up juggle beam will fail, the acid pit will fail, and any future attacks involving beams will fail. Dora has completely lost control of its mastery over the elements, and it moves at a wounded snail's pace. It is possible, yet very, very unlikely to cart here, but you have, for all intents and purposes, completely shut down the beast. Even if the crafting system didn't require it, it would be an absolute necessity to focus the horns for this, just for the sheer advantage it would give you. I cannot overstate how dramatic this change is. Now we move on from here onto G rank 400 with a few significant changes. First of all is the change to that intro. I called attention to the little side bite that it does, as this now transforms at 400 into a single targeted forward bite. The same deceptive hitbox is a little less so, with a nice AoE burst to show you the range, and now if struck, your sharpness takes a solid hit. You're very likely to fall into a lower sharpness range if you're complacent, and it will replace the side bite in every scenario that it's used, so keep an eye on this threat. Your new attack upgrade comes in the form of a new pin attack. With little to no wind up, Dora will whap its wing whips forward, aiming to pin you down. If successful, it hits you with the close-up, no holds barred acid pit. This is instant death if you get hit, and your reaction time needs to be on point to respond in time. There's a decent cooldown on this one though, should you succeed. Now furthermore, in a much more shocking turn of events, we see not 1 but 2 new attacks at G rank 600. One is taken from the aforementioned higher tiers of the base species, and this is a ground level gliding attack in a circle. On the first circle around, spots of lightning will be summoned around the field, and whilst the monster's movement may seem sudden, the first circle won't cause Dora to hurt you. What will hurt is the second loop around. After it's complete, Dora will slam the ground, causing a large explosion around it. The second loop comes out pretty fast, but you'll tell us from the first, so with enough familiarity, and enough carts, you get used to it. The second addition is the new juggling attack. Dora will spasm a bit, then hop up to slam the ground. This will catapult you into the air if you get caught, vulnerable for all follow-ups, which will be the wing whips dragging a block of earth up beneath you. Finally, this will be ended with an instant burst of dragon energy. If you block or dodge the first slam, be aware of the delay before the flip, and just wait for the wing whips to hit the ground. After the flip, you can look to dodge or block almost immediately as the burst comes out deceptively fast. After this move, you'll get a guaranteed taunt, so you're well compensated for your efforts. It is lovely to see these new additions at G rank 600 honestly, and there's even more of a treat at G rank 800. Both of the aforementioned moves get a double up. The flip gets 2 slams at the start. This is the easier one since you'll be waiting for the flip to come out, so you'll have ample time to react to a second follow-up slam. It's pretty straightforward. The low gliding circle, however, has its extra hit come out at the end, at lightning speed. You'll definitely be caught out by it first time around, and it's so sudden it's likely to hit you a few times after that. You need to hold off on following up with an attack until you see Dora land, and then you'll be rewarded with a fresh new taunt off the back of this. Paying attention here will tell you how much of a freebie you have with this bird after certain attack strings, when to commit, when to pull back, and so on. Doragyurosu is a frantic fight that demands your utmost because you create every single opportunity presented to you. It asks for your best, nothing more, nothing less, and rewards you with the best fight in the game. Hands down, the best Zenith ever. I can't say any much more than that, it is the best. But with that, the Zenith series comes to a close. And just in time. I'm due to get a beefy new PC in the next 2 days, so I wanted to end it on a fresh slate. Making this series has been a serious joy. Whilst real life, purchasing a home, my own job, and a whole bunch of other stuff has led to this taking way longer than I wanted it to, it's taught me so much about writing, editing, how to have fun doing this content creation thing, and I am definitely well prepped to take Monster Hunter Wilds as best I can. To everyone who stopped by to check out the videos, thank you. The comments and people's messages saying how much they look forward to their favourite Zenith or even just the next episode have meant the world to me. And if this is your first video, hey, go and check out the playlist, there's 22 other videos like this for your enjoyment. I do plan to be stitching the whole series together for one massive supercut in the future, so keep an eye out for that if you need something to keep you occupied during chores or something. But for now, this concludes the Isolated Species Report, and the Zenith Encyclopedia as a whole. Sincerely, thank you for watching. Don't worry, this isn't the last Frontier video, but for now, Cera out.